John 6:24. Cum ergo vidisset turba, quia Iesus non esset ibi, neque discipuli eius, ascenderunt naviculas, et venerunt Capernaum, quaerentes Iesum. When therefore the crowd had seen that Jesus was not there, nor were his disciples there, they embarked on the boats, and they came to Capernaum seeking Jesus. Now is narrated to us the reaction of these crowds as they've tried to put two and two together and to figure out how exactly Jesus and his disciples have come to be where they are now. They take action. So we begin with another circumstantial clause here. We've had a number of these in the last few verses. It's a good workout for you if you are not accustomed to see these. The characteristic thing which accompanies them is the use of the subjunctive mood, again denoting the general circumstances under which an action takes place. Here we've got the pluperfect subjunctive. When therefore, here's our subject, the turba, the crowd. In some contexts, in classical and later Latin, we would say mob, but here that's a bit too derogatory and negative a connotation for the context. It's really just crowd of people, multitude, as it says in the King James English. When therefore the crowd had seen that, and again, we might note here that we don't as frequently see the accusative infinitive construction for indirect speech in the Vulgate as we did in classical Latin. Very often, instead, indirect speech is introduced by quia, quod, or quoniam, and that's what we've got going on here. So when the crowd had seen that Jesus was not there, and here we've got the imperfect subjunctive. You might ask, why subjunctive? This is sometimes a tough question to answer in the Vulgate, as with later Latin in general. There's quite a lot of variation in terms of where and apparently why some authors would use the subjunctive mood in these subordinate clauses of reported speech in this period. Sometimes they use the indicative, sometimes they use the subjunctive, and there isn't always an easy way to lay down a rule here. There's no obvious reason why this verb needs to be subjunctive, but it happens frequently in the Vulgate, especially in the Old Testament, but also in the New Testament. Don't worry yourself too much about it. So, when they had seen that Jesus was not there, and so remember, neque is the equivalent of and not, and that's usually the best way to translate it. And when they saw that his disciples were not, and we've got to kind of repeat ibi in our minds here, we're not there either. We can add some punctuation here to help ourselves. They, so the subject of ascenderunt is the people of the turba. They got on board, literally went up onto boats. Remember, we talked about a navicula in our last verse, literally a small ship, that is a boat. They embarked on these boats and they came to Capernaum. Doesn't need a preposition since it's a small town at which we are arriving. So ad is unnecessary. It is the accusative of limit of motion here. And why were they doing that? They were searching out Jesus.